Hello, welcome everybody to this new webinar organized by Dataxis and sponsored by Hibox Systems, now an Accedo company, which we have titled Choosing the Right OTT Strategy for Your Pay TV Service. My name is Juan Pablo Conti, and I am the Content and Audience Development Manager for the Americas at Dataxis. We're about to start a discussion that's clearly generating a lot of interest. I was just looking at the number of people who registered for this session, and this is the largest attendance figure that we have seen this year for any Dataxis webinar. We're not surprised. The Latin American pay TV industry is going through one of its most dramatic transformations in history, whether it's operators who have been offering traditional video services for decades, or local ISPs or telco cooperatives who are only now considering launching a pay TV offering for the first time. OTT delivery has become really mandatory. But what is the best way to migrate to or to start a brand new OTT pay TV service in Latin America? The answer to this will depend on a number of things, the size and the characteristics of your target customer base, the type of content that will be offered, the monetization strategy, the required hardware compatibility, the user experience, and the flexibility of the OTT platform to adapt to constant change. Our four expert guests here today will help us understand what works, what doesn't, and what they recommend. So let me introduce them. Adriana Naves is the head of content distribution for Latin America at Roku. Mauricio Almeida is co-founder of the Brazilian VOD content service Watch TV. Jan Maku is the VP Sales and Business Development at Hibox Systems, which provides a solution for pay TV operators.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
Paloma Santucci is the Regional Director for Latin America at Accedo. Welcome, everyone. Adriana, we'll start with you. Roku, really a brand that doesn't need much of an introduction in the streaming video industry. I would say that after a very successful consolidation of your North American business, the company has selected Latin America as a key region for its international expansion. Roku has developed a very unique and strong business model with revenue coming not only from the sale of its hardware products, the famous Roku players, but increasingly also from licensing to connected devices and revenue sharing deals with content providers who monetize their video channels on Roku, either via subscriptions or advertising. Is the same business model that works so well clearly in North America replicable in Latin America? And also, I'd like to ask you, what are your key responsibilities as the head of content distribution for this region?
Hi, thank you, Juan Carlos, for Pablo, sorry, for this opportunity. And just for perspective, we recently announced our Q2 earnings, and we have now more than 55 million active accounts worldwide. So our business has grown consistently over the years, and with the pandemic, we saw that the growth accelerate even more. So we are the leading system platform, leading system streaming platform in the US now, and that is due to our strength, not only in selling Roku devices, but also in licensing deals with Roku TV brands and advertising sales. Besides, of course, the revenues generated through the partnerships with our content distributions via subscriptions. In Latin America, for example, just like any other market that Roku enters, we follow a very specific business model that focuses on 3 steps. So let's say, the first is gain active accounts. This is we grow our user base in the region, driving sales through our devices and through our Roku TV partners. Then we engage those users through great content. This is the area that I am responsible for, working directly with our content partners to bring their channels to Roku and to close the deal. And then the last one will be monetizing through advertising. And this will be the next step for Latin America.
Okay, well, Wish you all the best. Mauricio, Watch TV is a Brazilian platform offering mostly VOD content produced by some of the world's biggest studios and media groups. But your business model is very unique in the sense that you don't sell subscriptions directly to consumers, but they need to purchase the service from an ISP partnering with you. How does this B2B2C model work, and why did you decide to adopt it? And what results have you obtained so far?
Hi, Juan. Hi, everybody. Thank you for the inviting. Well, I used to have an ISP here in Brazil, and I saw how difficult it was to have a combo with other products besides the broadband, just the connection. So just afterward, I sell my shares of these ISPs. I look at an opportunity because we have here in Brazil nowadays more than 60,000 ISPs. So extremely fragmented market, but which represents more than 45% of the fixed broadband market here in Brazil. So we are proposing to be an organizer of this market because a lot of companies, a lot of studios could see all these companies spread out of our country that is very big. So as I know this market, I know a lot of other ISPs, we started this project and now we are increasing very fast and we are very happy with our results here in Brazil. We decided to work with them because direct-to-consumer was taken by the big companies with much more money for marketing. So we decided to work on a market that nobody was exploring, and with small companies that couldn't have a contract direct with a studio. So we saw this opportunity, and we are working on that with we are succeeding very well.
Okay, Jan, the number of service providers exploring OTT delivery to evolve an existing or really launch a new pay TV service is really booming across Latin America. And the figure that we just heard from Mauricio, it's amazing. 60,000 ISPs only in Brazil, making up for, I think it's at 45% of all of the broadband connections in the country. So this really includes both operators who have been offering traditional pay TV and literally hundreds, as we can see, of these telcos and ISPs who are, again, deploying fiber and looking to complement that broadband business with a modern video offering. What should these companies look for when it comes to choosing the right OTT platform?
Okay, hello everyone again. So JP, very nice and complex question. So give me some time to answer. So as every project,
take your time.
Thank you. As every project, it is always about the preparation. So let me focus on the 4 key factors here. So research of local market trends and competition. Nowadays, as we all know, it's not just linear TV services, so live channels only, but more and more portion is taken with the non-linear services as content on demand, coming from live content in form of catch-up, for example, or VOD service. So one of the key role in this matter starts to play also global streaming services from third-party providers. We all know who they are. All that must be considered for the OTT project. So what pay TV provider is going to offer for end users and how, and make this offer attractive enough to successfully compete on the market, and how to bundle it with my existing services, if there are any, if we are not starting from the scratch of the OTT service. So we have to prepare a strategy to bundle it properly. And of course, every market is slightly different and project focus, as well as we have to consider all those aspects in advance, individually, and carefully to make a successful project and business plan. The second factor we have to consider is actually the content delivery to the end user. Already Roku and Watch TV, they already mentioned it a little bit, but one of the main role plays end user devices to support for mass market. So we want to target either with pure OTT service devices or hybrid DVB OTT service. So there are markets like North America, for example, where are very attractive set-top boxes, which we can call it streaming devices like Roku, Android TV box, Apple TV, Amazon, Hulu. By the way, on a Hibox.tv and Accedo.tv websites, you can find comparison study between ATV, Android TV certified box, and iOSP, Android open source project box. We are getting a number of questions about that because there are a lot of rumors on the market how those two platforms works. So we are really being able to prepare those comparison study for that to make it more easier for the ISPs and operators to clear all the questions. Then there are markets where are mostly attractive smart TVs from LG and Samsung. We know that the market share of those two Korean vendors are between 50 to 70%. And the rest of the TV manufacturers are actually running on Android operating system. And one, but not least, the young generation prefers to watch all content on the go devices like mobile, tablet, or PC, and they don't have TV device at home. So the support of right devices, where is my OTT service available, is very important. Together with that, of course, it's important to have the right content with appropriate user experience, UX, and of course, OTT services or features, which I hope we have a chance to talk about it later. And then the last two factors I would like to mention is the right technology and budget allocation. So if I want to be a serious player on the market, it's about quality, not quantity and cost. So if I'm not tier one operator with huge budget, so I can split projects into the few phases. I will not invest money into my own customized hardware, but only into my apps to be available on the main device platforms. I will also focus only on the package with most watch channels, which are most often local channels anyway, and almost for free, and bundle it with the attractive VOD catalog and content on demand features that OTT platform offers. All that to provide with the vendor and their technology that is modular and follow market trends when I need. If I am a group of small ISPs or regional cable operators, the platform which provides multi-tenant solution is also available and very cost-effective solution to lower the initial investment. So those four factors should be considered for OTT services and its delivery. Sorry to taking
no,
the time so long.
I think it's a comprehensive, and you're already covering, and I'm sure the audience will appreciate a lot of tips already flowing in. That's the idea for today's webinar. So all right. It's very valuable. Paloma, in this discussion, really one of the first choices that a service provider must make once it decides to launch an OTT pay TV service is whether to build the video service in-house or go for a third-party software developer. What are the advantages and the disadvantages in each case?
Okay, so yeah, thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be here today, Juan. I won't take a long time to answer that question as Jam took, but okay, let's go through it. So I usually say that for multi-screen projects, I believe in a collaboration model. And I think this is the success formula for a large OTT project. And I will explain you why. The operator has all the knowledge about their customers, the market, their needs, and all about the company's future plans. And this is essential to define the project, right? So all these points are extremely relevant and should be considered during the project definition. On the other hand, the provider comes with the experience of cross-platform projects, teams specialized in particularities of each platform, specific knowledge in the video user experience, in addition to solutions that add a huge, big value on the project, such as reducing complexity, accelerating the launch, ensuring the quality, and facilitating the post-launch management. So instead of talking about the advantages and disadvantages of each case, I would go for sure for a collaboration model. I believe this is the best approach for a success OTT project.
Okay. Let me remind everyone in our audience that you could send any questions that you might have throughout this hour-long session. To do that, to our panelists, of course, to do that, simply go to the Q&A section on the Zoom tool. Please don't use the chat, but the Q&A session. Just type your question. We will take the key questions in the last 10 minutes of the session. Jan, do you think should operators and telcos aim for a hybrid conventional pay TV and OTT setup, or would it be better to go directly to a pure play OTT configuration? And importantly, also, what is the impact on costs?
Yeah, so there is no really clear answer on this question due to a different setup of each provider and its investment. But let's talk about it in more details. For cable operators who already invested into the DOCSIS solution in the past, live channels can be still delivered over DVB, and all other services can run over OTT solution through internet. The instant switching between live channel running over broadcast and on-demand service for that channel, like pause and time shift, which is delivered over unicast technology, is available. And customer doesn't really recognize any difference if she watch on broadcast or unicast source. For this type of hybrid setup is one big advantage. With live broadcast, you save quite a lot of internet capacity and bandwidth, and you don't have to deploy own fiber network. If you are, however, satellite, cable, or terrestrial provider, and you can use any IP network by law, not your own only, because, for example, this was the case in Brazil in the past, that you couldn't use an IP network of somebody else, you have to have it only on your own. So I would go for a hybrid solution too and use the same model. Linear service over broadcast and all the rest through IP, and connect my CDN for OTT service to the local internet exchange point to secure best quality of the service to deliver to the end user, no matter where he is, if it is on the north or on the south, so I can deliver where I want. Again, you don't have to build your own fiber network, which reduces your investment. However, the cost itself for OTT solution is the same, no matter if you use hybrid or pure OTT setup. There can be only price difference if some of the live channels are only broadcasted, therefore no other OTT services are provided for those channels. Then mainly the cost of transcoding without those channels goes down.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Adriana, in a video and entertainment age that is clearly defined by the concept of super aggregation, Roku is arguably one of the ultimate streaming super aggregators. What are consumers demanding from their streaming video service providers in terms of content availability and user experience?
This is a great question, Juan Pablo. So I think that one of the great things that we are seeing is this shift to streaming that is the power of that. The power is now with the consumer hands. The consumer gets to choose what they want to watch, when they want to watch it, and only pay for what they want to pay. So as such, we see consumers are asking a lot of free content. We have launched many new free channels on the Roku platform in Latin America over the past year, like ViX, Pluto TV, Free TV, B2b Butaca TV, and Runtime, and others. But those are the most important ones. And consumers also want great content, of course. And with so many options in terms of streaming services, consumers are picky on what they want to pay for. As such, we see our content partners investing more and more in original content and also in local productions from Latin America in native language with local actors. We can see this in Netflix, Globoplay, Prime Video, Blim. They are doing this, in fact. And from a pay TV perspective, we are also seeing the need to offer that same cable experience that consumers are familiar with, but now on streaming. This Watch TV here, Mauricio, is an example of it, and DirecTV Go, another one.
Okay, interesting. Mauricio, again, you're currently working with several ISPs in Brazil who are integrating Watch TV as part of their OTT video strategy. What type of content do operators need to acquire and integrate in their OTT platforms to meet client expectations these days? Is linear TV content still important, relevant, or would an on-demand only content strategy be enough?
Okay, it's a very good question. We started on January with a linear TV on our platform. So we could compare because we just have VOD until January. And we, of course, all the Brazilians know that the broadcasters here are very strong. Yeah. The audience of the broadcaster TV here in Brazil is still very good and increasing. So it depends on the public, it depends on the type of content. So what we can see in our platform, the audience, the series and movies. Of course, the VOD is much more the choice of the way they could consume this content. But exports and news, some soap operas here in Brazil is very popular. They prefer consumed by the linear TV. We had an example last Thursday. We transmitted a soccer game from Libertadores, and we had 500,000 of subscribers watching at the same time this soccer game. So we're gonna work with this balance, and depends on the kind of the content we are showing. So the linear TV is much strong that we expected. All the ISPs are asking for that to us, and the other thing that's growing very fast with us is marketplace, because we already have a marketplace inside the watch with Roku, with HBO, Paramount Plus, and other ones that we are having implementing in a few months.
Let's Jan, let's switch now the conversation angle from content to another very important aspect, which is monetization. What are the options and recommendations when it comes to monetizing a pay TV service that has suddenly been enhanced with an OTT platform?
Yeah, maybe you will surprise what I say now, but monetization of pay TV service comes from the platform analytics. It plays the key role, and it depends on pay TV provider, how he use it and collect the data. Because OTT platform has one strong advantage, as all services run over IP, you can collect almost whatever statistics you want. If pay TV provider, for example, works with those collected data, you can easily optimize your service after a few months of your commercial launch if needed, and continuously, because you know what channels and content is watched by end users, when end users watch the content, on which device, what features from the platform are used by end users, how long your end users use the service per day, per week, per month. So what services are not used at all, and so on. So as much you analyze your platform data, you can react accordingly, basically. You only provide a service which is highly requested by your end users. You recommend content which each end user under his profile likes, and this end user will spend more time on the platform and willing to spend more money for additional new services because she likes the service. On the other hand, you can save a lot of money for the content which nobody watch. You don't have to pay for services which nobody uses. These statistics helps you also for targeted marketing strategy, bringing you more end users on your platform because you know what end users want. You can close new deals for content that are required by your end users. For advertisers, for example, becomes your platform very attractive. Another very good upsell of the platform with significant revenue booster is B2b business. Nobody heard about that in the past, but that's actually what is changing the game right now. You can also use the same platform for B2b business, mainly for hospitality and healthcare sector, which is available at least on Hibox platform. All that will monetize pay TV service and secure a successful project for pay TV provider together with loyalty of your end users. And of course, if end user is happy and enterprise is happy, then it's a win for you.
Good, okay. Paloma, another key aspect in really any new OTT service is how to ensure that users will be able to access the content library or the linear channels. We were just hearing having the linear channels is still relevant on their devices of choice. How can pay TV operators handle this clear device fragmentation issue that exists today?
Yeah, that's a very complex topic, and usually this generates discussion. So each platform has their own specific features, and this customization is what makes them unique and extremely relevant in the market. And Adriana can talk more about it for sure.
We'll ask her about that.
Given this fact, it's up to us providers who have the experience in multi-screen projects to deal with this fragmentation, right? But how? So today there are frameworks and solutions capable of reducing this complexity, speeding up the development process, ensuring unification between platforms, and with a great financial advantages and interesting deadlines. This is basically because the base framework serves as a mother application, a baseline application, and which after being developed can be easily adapted to other platforms with simple customizations. In Accedo, this framework is called Build Elevate, and it's quite famous in Latin American market and used by most of our customers. Watch TV is a good example of it. They are using our framework, and we could speed up the process and launch the service based on their requirements of deadlines. And yeah, so that's what I believe could help the fragmentation.
Okay. And again, Paloma was just saying, I think both Adriana and Mauricio, it would be interesting having the perspective from the OTT operators themselves. What are the main devices currently being used to access the Roku and the Watch TV services according to your usage statistics? If you have some insights, let's start with Adriana first.
Sure. So we have our own players and TVs. Yeah. So we have for Roku players, for instance. In Mexico, we have already 4 devices, all day and date with the US. Mexico is a big market, very consolidated one. So we have Roku Express 4K, Roku Streaming Sticks Plus, and the new Roku Stream Bar, which I really love it. And in Brazil, regarding players, we have Roku Express, the first one that we launched last year. So, and we also have the licensing agreements with the Roku TV brands. So in Mexico, we have 7 Roku TV brands already, such as Hisense, TCL, Philips, Sharp, JVC, and we will launch more 3 brands this year. In Brazil, we have 2 Roku TV brands, AOC and Philco, are performing really well, and we will launch more 2 brands this year yet to come. So the business is growing.
Okay, but you also provide support to use through additional devices?
No, the user can consume that, then can use the platform within our own devices. So we have, of course, some of interface with remote control in the mobile, for example, but the platform per se is you can use our own devices.
Okay, okay. Mauricio, in your case, what are you seeing in terms of device usage?
It's a generation issue because as a child, they start using a tablet. After that, they got the first mobile. After that, they use web. With the pandemic, the web users increased a lot. And for linears, the smart TVs on devices, something like that. We are expecting it.
How critical and how easy is it for users who perhaps start watching content on a mobile device, they use Chromecast, and then they decide to continue watching on the iPad? Is that relatively easy to allow users to swap from one device to the other?
No.
It's not as easy as it sounds, right?
It's totally complex because to manage this environment, this is the reason that we need the Accedo to help us, because all week we receive a new device, a new company talking with us, let's go integrate it with you. So what do we need? We need to have the same user experience. So it's really difficult. So we are seeing, Adriana could talk better than me, that we are seeing that the market is going to some device, because we could connect this device and have the same user experience, because it's totally different, and we couldn't have the same even using the frameworks. It's totally difficult to have the same user experience.
But you can see the point is from the customer perspective, it is what they expect, right? So that's why I knew it was not easy, but it's something that it almost comes as granted, and then it comes, how do you implement it? So it's part of the reason why we're having this discussion. Again, a quick reminder to our audience, we've already seen some questions coming in. Feel free to send more questions. And again, do it using the Q&A section in the tool. We'll take them at the end. Jan, you already made a quick mention of the importance of data for content recommendation. How can really content search, discovery, and recommendation tools be effectively integrated in a pay TV OTT service?
Well, firstly, maybe we should say that every end user who wants to watch the content that he likes, basically, and he wants to easily find it, right, in his TV app. So if you have many channels and content in general by your pay TV provider, you need some ways to search for the content. The platform analytics we discussed just few minutes ago. So it was more related to collect the data from the platform, but here we are talking more about the end user applications. So the platform can also recommend you the content according to your previous usage and your user interface in the app must show the current content it must show you the recommended content next to your current one which you watch. The other way is to find the content by yourself. You can type it in the search window within your app. This is mostly available. Or the app can be integrated with voice management. If we talk about app running on Roku, Android TV, Amazon Fire Stick device, it works very, very smoothly. However, for the content search or recommendation, it's very important to have appropriate EPG, electronic program guide, metadata, including, images, content description, event category, actor's name, and others. As many details are included in this metadata is better, and the search of recommendation is more accurate. So definitely, content search and recommendation tools are something which is very important part of OTT service nowadays. And personally, I like it very much. I'm using it every day.
Paloma, when you build and you launch an OTT service, that in itself is not an easy thing. But then as soon as the new service is finally activated, a new process must be implemented to really continuously optimize the platform and the user experience with new features. That's the world of software. That's how it works. In fact, this really very same principle applies to every single video app that is launched to access a particular streaming service. What should, again, coming to this topic of providing tips, what should operators and broadcasters who are considering an OTT service, what should they know about this critical continuous upgrading process?
Okay, yeah, it's important to say that the customers' expectations change very quickly, and you need to pay attention to every single detail. You can always keep your service update with market demands, and this is a must to keep the life cycle of your applications, right? So this could be done through analytics tools, and based on it, run A/B testing before going to a complete update or change in the current service. If you already have a single cross-platform framework, the technical upgrade process becomes much easier, as the upgrade is done only once and then porting to other devices. Otherwise, the updates must be done in each device, in each platform, and you need to ensure that all the applications are going to be synchronized and the user are going to have the same experience in all the service environment.
Thank you. Adriana, before you joined Roku, you worked for several years as the VP of Content Distribution at Fox Networks, now Disney. So it's interesting that your expertise in the Latin American content distribution business now covers both sides. You were the content creator and producer, and now also on the OTT content integrator and distributor with Roku. What is your view on the way that new content licensing agreements are evolving in Latin America? And I mention this especially at the time when we're seeing large and increasingly concentrated media groups developing their own D2C offerings, and traditional pay TV offerings. Pay TV operators sometimes find it harder to obtain or renew content rights from them. I know it's a tricky issue, but what are you seeing in that respect?
So I would like to start quoting Rob Holmes, our content VP programming. He said in a recent interview two things. In the streaming world, networks would need to do 4 things well. First, deliver compelling programming. Second, create a compelling user experience. Then acquire and retain users. And later, then monetize those users. He said that most programmers are comfortable with only the first of those 4. So 5 years ago, we know that the content rights for streaming were negotiated separately in Latin America. So the OTT products sometimes presented different content from the traditional pay TV channels or even black windows. We know that. So now what we see in the streaming decade, as we like to say here at Roku, all media groups are investing a lot, not only in content, but also in technology to provide the best experience directly to the end consumer. But there is still plenty to do regarding the user acquisition and retention and also monetization. On the other hand, traditional pay TV operators are finding their way to surf on the streaming decade, developing state-of-the-art apps that you can see here by Accedo that prove their effectiveness, diminishing the churn and attracting new users. So as an aggregator, Roku embraces both the media groups like Disney, Paramount, Warner, and the remodeled pay TV groups like Claro Video and DirecTV Go. Our users have all the freedom to choose the best content and the best offer within our platform.
Okay, good answer. Mauricio, how do you expect this increasing competition from the D2C media groups? You know, the Disney Plus, the HBO Max, Paramount Plus, and we can go on and on these days. But these really only adds to the competition that you were already facing from the international streaming giants, Netflix, Amazon Prime. How do you expect that increasing competition to affect Watch TV going forward?
We are prepared to fight with them. No, of course not. But in fact, we are opening up this new and unknown market to these competitors. So they became our partners, actually. We want them to see us as the platform that will help them reach market still unknown to them. Just you know, 60% of Brazilians do not have a banking account. 36% of Brazilians do not have a credit card. 85% of Brazilians have broadband. And 99% of Brazilians have internet access by cell phone. So I'm showing a market that still pay monthly a bill, a broadband bill, so I could connect them with this unknown and new and totally fragmented market. So we are seeing them as a partners, of course, not as competitors. As we are talking with a lot of some of that you mentioned, that so because they are looking at us to be a hub and a marketing organizer, something like that.
Okay. Jan, a trend that we have seen in some Latin American markets is the emergence of national associations or groups of multiple smaller cable operators, cooperatives or ISPs who join forces to unify their pay TV and now their OTT video strategies. The idea is that such a cooperative approach gives these otherwise small actors the scale and the negotiation power to match the offerings more typically associated with the tier one operators. What do you make of this strategy?
Well, we see this trend. A while ago, I spoke with few associations from Peru, Colombia, Argentina, and Brazil. And as I mentioned, the multi-tenant solution is available, and it's a good strategy to share one platform together between small operators or ISPs. Each operator can have also their own branded apps, own content bouquet, own pricing. So there is no really scene that they share actually one platform. So which is pretty good. But usually tier one operator, I have to say, that's my experience. So that most of them, some of them, they are on that call. So don't want to share with those associations the content rights, especially for the premium and sport content. For the premium movie content, you can close the partnership with a provider like Watch TV, for example, or end user can find it on the device together with your app. But premium live sport, usually these tier one operators, they don't want to share it. Yes, there are end users who are going to subscribe for the service from tier one because of the premium live sport content, but most of end users don't want to spend so much more money just to see twice a month this premium sport content. So they find a different way to watch that content. So it is lost revenue from my point of view, not only for tier one, but also for those associations.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. We'll put the final question will be to you, Paloma, and then we'll open to questions from the audience. Thanks everyone, that we can see questions coming in. So we'll take them right after this final question to you, Paloma. And again, to close the first phase of the discussion, we have talked a lot today about recommendations in terms of things to pay attention to or things to do for operators looking to launch a new OTT service. But often, really, the best advice coming from people with actual field experience deploying any technology has to do with the things not to do. So drawing from your own experience, if you had to recommend one or two key issues to avoid before embarking on a new OTT project, what would that be?
Okay, I would recommend, first of all, to choosing a good provider, a good video provider with the knowledge and the experience. This is for sure the start point of a decision for an OTT project. In addition, we always recommend to our customers to consider launching an MVP product first, to get a feel of the market, to better understand the audience and the audience that each platform could also bring. And then based on those numbers, those recognized needs, add features, improvements, and evolve the applications. I mean, the most common sentence that I used to hear from prospects is always, I want to have a Netflix application, how to do that? And, you know, so let's start from the beginning and focus on your audience and focus on your needs. And then, I mean, you are going to be there. You are going to reach, you know, what you want for your audience. But I mean, step by step. And the more complete you want to make your product at start, the longer it will take you to launch it. And you need to think how relevant are those features. Then can cause maybe delays or issues for the first phases of the project. So it's, I mean, if you're gonna need to launch something perfect, you know, you're gonna need lots of time, and you need to balance the real needs. So yeah, that's my recommendation.
Okay, well, thanks for that. Let's now take these last 10 minutes to answer some questions. In no particular order, I see, for example, Mauro Paes Pumar is asking, he has a question for both Roku and Watch TV. What tools do you use to analyze all the information that you're getting from the viewers? Are you using any specific artificial intelligence tool to look into churn, content value, and viewer insights? Okay, so let's, good question. Adriana, do you want to take it first?
Yes, of course. So Roku has acquired Data Nielsen for videos in the US, and also another company that's named Data too. So we have lots of data and sites we manage internally. We have a lot. Roku is an engineer company. So we have our own staff to do this. So we have lots of analytics. So every partner is on board. Each one of them has a dashboard, so they can see lots of information, like active accounts, streaming hours for active accounts. And I mean, whatever they want, there's the information in the platform, so we can use a lot of stuff.
Okay.
For user watch, for user information, user experience, we have a solution called Jump. that we could get all the audience are looking for, are watching, if they are watching until the end or not, when they play, they stop and something like that. And for the back office, all the technicians, we use a solution from AWS that could provide a lot of information that we could manage our platform, the performance and something like that.
Okay. Jan, a question from you from Carlos Baldo. Carlos is asking, how do you see the aggregation trend in opposite to the current diverse offer of different content producers? Does contextual recommendation engines or will contextual recommendation engines be the answer to allow aggregators like Roku to have success? So in terms of contextual recommendation,
yeah, I will try to answer. Hopefully, I understand it correctly. What I see, this is we have to look at it from the end user point of view. For end user, he doesn't really care where the content is coming from, right? So he really just need to, because there's a bunch of content available on a service. So then you have to find the way how you recognize the content you want to watch and you like. So then basically what Netflix does with the recommendation engine, that's the way that it's currently, as far as I know, the best one, and that we also integrate with the recommendation, our own recommendation, or we can use a third-party recommendation together with our platform. But definitely recommendation is the only way how you can recognize the content which you want to watch from the bundle of all the contents you are receiving.
Okay. Paloma, a question for you. Do you think it will be feasible to have a unified user interface device agnostic that also could add some customization features like colors and background pictures, or also some metadata info? For instance, sometimes like a speed meter in the corner during F1 live race transmissions. Okay, is it clear?
Yeah. Yeah, it's clear. So yeah, what I would say is that obviously we always need to give to user the same experience in all the platforms that you are providing your service. So from the user perspective, he needs to know that he is talking to a specific product and not with a specific platform. This is the most important message. And behind that, I would say we also need to take into account the specifications of each platform. So for example, in some platforms, the social integration is something very nice to have, but in some others is really not recommended. So those kind of details we need to check one by one and try to give the most powerful solution for each platform.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. There's a question. It doesn't mention who in the panel, but it's a question we often hear. It's about the so-called multi-stacking or SVOD stacking. You know, we have a proliferation of OTTs, and the question is, what do you think about the proliferation of OTTs? How many are the consumers willing to pay? The question again you hear all the time. Jan, is that a problem? What do you think? Do you have a number in mind? How many OTT subscriptions are consumers ready to pay?
You know, it depends on a specific country and the economy. It's not related really. You cannot unify how much is. You know, the price in India is different than in price in North America. So, but overall, it's not only about the pricing. it is about the quality of the content and the service you are getting. Because, for example, I'm Formula One fan, and if I don't find the Formula One in that package or from the provider, and it's a really high cost, then I will find the other alternative, and I will buy Formula One Pro TV app, which I will subscribe for. So it's really a matter of the content and the service itself, but the biggest I think the biggest point and the matter is actually related to the economy of the person or in the region.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
A comment related to that question, sorry, Juan, is that it's not only subscription model. We also need to think that we could see a good trend about advertisement as well. So many broadcasters and content providers are investing in this model, and this would be a great opportunity for the market to be evolved as well.
Okay. Okay. I think we have time for perhaps one or two final questions. And thanks again to our audience for your participation. There's one from Vanessa Marcuzzo. Hi there, thanks so much for the webinar. In a recent survey from Panthera regarding video streaming behavior in LATAM, they say that in addition to viewing annoyances like repeated ads, 70% of our panelists across Latin America say they don't feel represented in the ads they see on a streaming service for a number of reasons. This is a huge problem for advertisers spending money to reach these audiences, and it highlights an opportunity to improve the experience for Latin American viewers. Is there any solution, Vanessa asks, regarding audience targeting that OTTs are facing and will offer? So ways really to make targeted advertising on OTT more relevant. I would summarize the question as that. I don't think we have an expert on advertising here in this panel, but does any of you want to answer, Vanessa?
I can answer.
I see. Go ahead, Adriana.
Okay. So we have already some companies that are expert in doing this. Mm-hmm. Here at Roku, we have our own targeting. You know that in Roku in the US are really super expert in advertising. So not only in the platform, but all in partnerships with our content providers. So we do have targeting, and we will implement targeting for OTT this Mexico by the end of the year already. So it's good. And the second way to answer your question, of course, we are represented. We have local content providers, the ones that I mentioned before. This is still difficult to develop the apps for this. So we need to have the apps also, not only with the biggest content providers, but with the local ones as well. That's why we are all here discussing it, but for sure we will have targeting advertising. Okay. And very quickly, I think, Mauricio, this will be a question to you, but again, 30 seconds if you can. Facundo Lezama is asking, with all the new D2C platforms launching these days, the content provider's strategy seems to leave out of the equation the small pay TV operators. Do you think this strategy will prevail, or will the content providers at some point start to give TV operators the rights to sell products again? Do you want to take?
No, I think it's going to prevail. Of course, we are talking about Brazil. We have a lot of laws here. It's totally different of the rest of Latin America, but I think it's going to prevail because I don't remember who told about that, but the audience will pay for what they want to see, not for a combo or something like that.
Okay. Well, this is all the time that we had for. Thank you very much to our speakers for their very insightful comments. Thank you to our sponsor, Hibox Systems. Thank you to our audience. You have engaged, and we appreciate that. So thank you, and see you soon.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Guys.
To all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.